hit the buzzbait. Woo! Hey, today's show is going to be a fun show. We're going to do a little solo bass fishing in Alabama. I'm going down to fish with Headland High School fishing team. The Headland guys are pretty awesome, so they know this lake. This is their home lake. So I'm going to go do a little solo fishing and see if I can't learn something about the lake before the Headland team shows up. So pressure's on old Hank to figure out how to catch a bass. Now that's the deal. It's going to be a fun show. We're going to get all the little pieces of the puzzle laid out and try to put it together. You stay with me. I'm Hank Parker. That's the deal. Don't you come on. Almost lost it. The deal. Man, I almost lost that big bass. You know, I'm going to talk a lot about Berkley baits today. I've worked with them since 1977. Hey, we're in the middle of a quarantine. I hope by the time this show airs, this coronavirus and stuff will be completely gone, but we got a lot of public boat ramps and things that are closed down, and I've been in the house and been turkey hunting a lot, been in the woods, but I hadn't been on the water, and so I'm kind of like a kid. I'm all excited about going fishing. I'm on a lake I've never been before, and we're gonna start out right here at daylight and figure out how we can catch a fish. So it ought to be a fun show. We're gonna put the puzzle together. There's a little shaking head, that ought to work.
We believe in the power of science to unlock secrets.
About 3 years ago,
Better ways to catch more.
Berkley decided we're gonna make every kind of bait that you can imagine, and we're going to take old existing baits and we're going to take new designs, and we're going to work with all these bass pros, and we're going to develop the very best all-around line of baits that there is. So for me today to say I'm going to start out and I'm going to just see what it takes to catch a fish on this particular lake, I got every bait in the world. Berkley makes them, and I got the best. And there's a lot of science behind it, and we're going to talk about that. They've got all kind of fish chambers in Spirit Lake, Iowa, where they can measure the vibration and the water placement of baits. All the technology with power baits, the fish will actually eat it. You can take little pieces of plastic worms and cut it and drop it in the aquarium where these bass are. And every brand you can think of, they'll take it in their mouth and they'll spit it out. They take that power bait, they will eat it. Just little chunks of it. It has a taste that tastes like food to them, and they will actually eat it. So there's a lot of science behind what Berkley does. To watch that company and how they've evolved, they're unlike any other company. Oh yeah, look at that. It's all about science. That's a good fish, I'm liking it. Oh, that's getting close. That's getting close to bringing me to my knees there, brother. Close to having to get on your knee. What a beautiful fish. God, oh. Pollution. Hey, I'm fishing a lake that I've never fished before. Yeah. It's a twofold show. I want to learn something about this lake. I'm going to be fishing with the Headland Bass Club the day after, and so I want to learn the lake. I don't want these high school kids to whip me too bad. You know how that works. So the reports I'm getting on this lake is that the fish totally relate to the shoreline and nothing else. And I'm not really agreeing with that in my mind. I mean, it may be the case, but I'm not really thinking that's the way it is. But topwater conditions were good starting off. Makes perfect sense, good topwater morning. So we're gonna start the day off throwing topwater. Right now, I want them to be some science behind the deal. Old Skeet Reese designed a little bait called the deal, and I love this thing. So I've taken an old traditional buzz bait I probably had for a while and put the deal on it. And we're gonna see if that's the deal this morning, or catch one on the old Chapo. He whirled at it. We've all heard that old cliche, the early bird gets the buzz bait. Let's do a Chapo for a minute. Let's do a Chapo. I like a Chapo. Ooh, look out! Since I don't have anybody with me, I'm gonna get up here and where my little topwater bait can stay right up next to the bank, and I'll just parallel. I had one follow me that time, swirl behind it. Here comes the sun. Oh, ooh, 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 ooh. I had an impulse to owl hoot. There he is. Chapo! Hello, buddy. I love topwater. Don't you love topwater? Old Chapo, man, what a bait that is. Golly, I've caught some giant bass, redfish, you name it on that old Chapo. I don't know. There is a better topwater bait than that. And it does, it makes that old sound like a buzz bait. It's biggins, more biggins like. Even though that wasn't a biggin, he's gonna be a biggin someday. Man, the topwater conditions were good starting off. We had a little action. Hello, buddy. Not what I expected, to be honest. The spawn is over. It's summertime's coming on pretty hard. Water temperature's heating up. So, man, I got out there and started fishing deep. So I'll fish the pink worm, and I like the pink because you can see it. Hey, it's coming together. We'll be right back. And you might even catch a big fish. Hello, buddy.
This portion of Hank's Show is brought to you by Berkley. Catch more fish. Yeti coolers, built for the wild. And by Humminbird and Fraybill. This portion of Hank's Show is brought to you by Berkley. Catch more fish.
Where? You know, it's pretty amazing that you can take a rod with enough stiffness to set the hook with a long cast, and you can make a long cast with no weight, 15-pound fluoro, which is fairly stiff line. And you can make that cast with a reel that weighs nothing. It's a TP1HA Lose. And how they make a reel so incredibly light with such a great drag, a lot of power, but you can cast a worm with no weight on it, 80, 90, 100, 120 feet on a stiff rod. It didn't take me very long to conclude they were right. These fish really do relate to that structure. Now, I'm running a Humminbird Mega 360, and I'm seeing structure that's 10, 12 feet off the bank. So these fish are not really right on the bank. There's actually a ditch, a road, rock piles, a lot of stump beds, debris that's been pushed up when they built the lake. And so I find this structure, instead of hammering the bank itself, is actually back up. Now I like to be where I can reach the bank and still be able to fish out 30, 40, 50, 60 feet off the bank, 100 feet in a lot of cases. And I really learned that from my Mega 360. So it was interesting, wasn't what I expected, but I like that. You might even catch an old big fish, I like to say. About an old good one. How about an old good one? On a pink worm, on a pink worm. Oh, good one. Isn't he pretty? Now that is the power bait. We talk about Berkley and science. The power bait, Chris Jones, who went to work with Berkley 100 years ago, back when I was just a child, there were all kind of formulations that people were spraying on worms. Chris said you need to build the taste into the worm. All these oil-based attractants, oil and water doesn't mix, and it doesn't put the scent off like they're claiming because it's oil-based. And if you build water-based, you have to spray your bait every cast because water base comes off. He said some way we need to figure out how to actually cook it into the worm and let the worm have that taste built in and let it omit that smell. And that sounds like a simple task, but that's hard to do. It's almost like making a bleeding worm. But Berkley worked on that thing and worked on it, and they got it where it actually puts off a scent and it has a taste, and that taste is what will make that fish that you're fishing in a lake that has fishing pressure, and they're caught and they figure it out and they hit that plastic worm and spit it out because they realize it's artificial, but then that taste is in their mouth, they come back and get it. And again, that's part of the science behind what Berkley's doing, and that's their whole new theme. It was for years and years and years, Berkley, catch more fish. Now it's Berkley, our science, your fish. So take the science that they've developed and take it to the lake and use it to your advantage to catch more fish. Makes sense to me. B has worked. What about C? Like an old power jerk shad. Ye old big fish, right? Yeah, now. Get rid of my chartreuse tail. Hello, buddy. Hi. A, B, and C.
Hank's Show is made possible in part by Luz. Feel the difference. And by Minn Kota. Soft Science. Solar Bat. And Talon. This portion of Hank's Show is brought to you by Berkley. Catch more fish.
I think I'm gonna chop it for a second. I tell people all the time, don't have too many expectations before you start fishing. A lot of people get hammered and zeroed in on one particular method and lure, and then they're bewildered when that doesn't work. It makes you want to go home in some cases. Some people say, well, I thought I was going to do this, man, I didn't catch nothing, I left. No, fishing is like a puzzle, man, there are a lot of pieces. And you just put them together piece by piece, and pretty soon you got a puzzle put together. And that's kind of the way putting a pattern together to catch these fish. So a lot of people say, well, I don't like it when you fish private water. I get it, I understand that. And I much prefer fishing public water for the most part. But this bass club uses this lake, and a lot of them don't have boats, so they fish from the shoreline. Sometimes fish 3 or 4 out of a boat. And I love that. I love these bass clubs from these high schools that improvise, that make things happen. And Chris Helms, the host for these guys, he don't want me to say his name, he don't want any credit, he's a very humble person. But he loves these kids, and he provides, and he makes it possible for them to have a successful fishing team, and buddy, they're good. So this was the situation we were faced with. I wanted to learn the lake, I learned a lot, and had a lot of fun at the same time. Hello, buddy. Hello, buddy. I let him get away. Well, 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 I went back to my little plan B. I like it. Boat's in about 5 or 6 foot of water, and I'm fishing these little moss pods, and I can see them on my 360, which is pretty amazing. I never seen them before. All this 360 mega imaging is new to me, so you see it on there. Well, I'm not familiar with it. It's something new. It almost looks like brim beds, so I'm thinking, what is that? And then I started realizing it's these little moss pods that's showing up. And that's what you see on that screen that was fooling me a little bit. I thought it was brim beds, but it's actually the way that moss is growing. And every time you let your worm down by one that sticks out into the lake a little further, it's a little further out from the shoreline, seems to be a fish on it. Pretty interesting.
Hank's Show is brought to you in part by Ranger Boats, still building legends one at a time. Mercury Marine, go boldly. And by Oceoke Fishing. More of Hank's Show coming up. Looking for more bass fishing tips and techniques from legendary angler Hank Parker? Go to hankparker.com. You'll have full access to all things Hank, including articles, videos, sponsor news, tips, television schedules, and much more.
First, I went to plan A, my Chapo. B was my pink power worm. C was my jerk shad. And I just went to plan D. A new worm that I'm not fish much. Ah, we caught one. It's a wind-up, 7-inch wind-up, black with a blue tail. Look at that thing, God. It comes in a package where that tail can't get bent. Now. That tail really, really swims, and you look at that thing, and I didn't throw it but just a few times and got bit on it just right off the bat. Like the first cast I made with it, I got bit, and then the second cast, and caught several on it. I'm very, very impressed. And the way they package it is awesome. That tail can't get bent. Called a wind-up. 7 1/8 inch. No, 7 inch, 18 centimeters. I see that now. I need glasses, but look how it's packaged. Hit my old wind up right under the boat, why don't you? Right under the boat, why don't you? Power bait, baby, that's the ticket. I love it. Go get you some. And buy an extra pack for old Hanky. Get off of there, grass. Get off of there, grass. Nice fish. I tell you, we've had a very, very productive day. And like I say, we started out with A and went down the alphabet, and everything's worked. How about that? Part of that is I'm so incredibly skillful, but most of it is I got lucky. I've been very lucky. Hey, you know, sometimes you think you got it all figured out and it works perfect. And then other times it doesn't work the way you think. You have to really work at getting those pieces of that puzzle put together. That was our situation, but we did. We got that puzzle put together, and what a pretty puzzle it is. I hope you enjoyed it. God bless you. I'm Hank Parker.
And don't forget to visit us at hankparker.com, the place for tips, giveaways, and more.
The house needs painting, the grass needs mowing. Where's he at? Gone fishing.